Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, The Man Crisis. Learn why so many men are struggling to find their way in an increasingly gynocentric world in The Man Crisis. Get your copy of The Man Crisis in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today.
A 20-year-old mother of one was shot and killed on 95th Street in Midtown Manhattan here in New York. Now, in this incident, 20-year-old young mother Azizia Johnson was allegedly shot and murdered by her ex-boyfriend, 22-year-old Isaac Agro, in what some are calling a premeditated execution. Now, according to reports, your Azizia Johnson allegedly got a text on her cell phone to meet your Isaac Agro to get some items for her child. And as they were meeting in this incident, allegedly Agro pulled out a weapon and shot Azizia Johnson in the head. Now, the police are seeing this as an isolated incident of domestic violence, but when I take a critical examination of the behavior of Isaac Agro, it fits right in line with the pattern and profile for beta males that I talk about in my book, The Man Crisis. And when I take a critical examination of your Isaac Agro, he definitely looks like one of those beta males who just could not deal with the fact that he had to take responsibilities as a father, and because he couldn't deal with the responsibilities of being a father, he wound up simmering and boiling in rage, and then eventually wound up exploding in rage, where he started to participate in domestic violence and then went on to murder his child's mother. Now, when it comes down to a lot of these beta males, they live in a place I like to call a rose-colored reality. And in that rose-colored reality, it looks like our world, it seems like our world, but everything from their perception is completely distorted. And when it comes down to your beta males, what they do because they have a very distorted picture of reality, they cannot really deal with a world where there are conflicts, problems, and obstacles. And I believe that's what happened here with your Isaac Agro as he got involved with Azizia Johnson. Now, when Isaac Agro was out here and he was possibly dating your Azizia Johnson, and she was a very attractive woman, he was happy to have a woman on his arm who would be great social currency that would make him popular in social circles. And unfortunately, after he had sex with Azizia Johnson and she got pregnant, I believe that's what happened with your Isaac Agro, is that his whole personality wound up changing. Now, when these beta males are out here and they've got the attractive girl on their arm, and they're getting all of the sex that they want, everything is fine because they are getting the social currency that will get them the attention from popular people. However, once a woman gets pregnant, that's when you'll see the personality of an individual change. And I believe that's what happened here with your Isaac Agro as related to his relationship with Azizia Johnson. He wound up becoming frustrated about the change in his life once his girlfriend wound up becoming pregnant. Now, once his girlfriend wound up becoming pregnant, this wound up disrupting his smooth world because becoming a father would make your life become filled with a lot of conflicts and obstacles and a lot of problems. And this is where his frustration started because he was no longer involved with a very attractive girl who would be arm candy. No, he would have to be a head of household, and he would have to go out here and be a leader of his family, and he could not really handle dealing with those pressures. And that's where I believe the start of the domestic violence began between your Isaac Agro and your Azizia Johnson. What happened was this beta male wound up getting frustrated again about having to take the responsibility of being a father, and because he was not interested in becoming a father, what happened is that he started taking out his anger on his girlfriend. Now his girlfriend reported the first domestic violence incident earlier this year to the police, and sadly the police did not take much action on Isaac Agro, and they didn't really, because they didn't take any action, things in this whole situation between Azizia Johnson and Isaac Agro wound up escalating. Now things got so heated that your Azizia Johnson had to leave her home, and she had to move into a shelter that was not too far from the Midtown location where sadly she lost her life. Now, one of the mistakes I believe she made was continuing to maintain contact with this individual, because when you're dealing with beta males and they are having to deal with conflict from law enforcement, this is where your beta male becomes an extremely dangerous individual. Now, your Isaac Agro, based on what was presented in reports, looks like he was simmering and boiling in anger for an extended period of time regarding the fact that his entire world was no longer going to be smooth anymore, and because his world wasn't smooth anymore and he could not be the man who was out here with the pretty biracial light-skinned girlfriend, he was frustrated because he could no longer be the guy who was out here with the beautiful light-skinned girlfriend and sexual access to a beautiful light-skinned girlfriend. No, now he was a baby daddy, and his world was in a place where he was no longer seen in a positive light. So he was frustrated and angry about being a guy who was a baby daddy and being labeled a woman beater. So he was angry about his whole life falling apart, and he believed that since he had nothing to lose, he was going to go out here and attack the person who he believed was responsible for his life being in such disarray. So what he did was he was out here, had his freedom, and what he did was he contacted his baby mama, and he talked under the guise that, oh, he was going to give his daughter some sort of items. But what he wanted to do was use this as a way to lure her out so that he could go out here and take the life of the woman who he believed had wound up destroying his life. Now, this is one of the problems that you have with beta males. They never want to take accountability for their actions. A lot of times when you're dealing with a beta male, he'll sit there and always make it about everybody else, but he'll never take a look in the mirror at himself. And that's what I believe happened here with this Isaac Agro. He was not really taking a look at his part in things. He wasn't really looking at the fact that he was out here with this girl, and he was the one who made this girl pregnant with his child, and what he wanted to do was say his life was a mess because of her, but every action that was taken was basically because he didn't know how to take responsibility like a man. No, in many cases with beta males, they want to go out here and be the man, and they want to be the guy with the hot girlfriend. They want to be the guy who everybody knows on the block as the fly guy. But when that girl gets pregnant, that dude doesn't ever want to take any responsibility and be a man. Now, this guy, because he didn't want to be a man, wound up going and shooting his baby mama on the street in Midtown Manhattan. And this led to, sadly, this young woman at 20 years old losing her life, and her 3-month-old baby winding up losing both her mother and her father. Now, in the aftermath of this, we had many politicians and many people who were scared, worrying about gun violence hurt impacting one of the most prominent parts of New York City. But what I found to be quite disturbing about that part of the coverage was how the story wound up changing once they found out that Azasia Johnson was a biracial woman. Now, when people thought Azasia Johnson was a white woman, there was all of this ruckus about gun control and all of this ruckus about violence from many politicians, including New York's cream of wheat man, Mayor Eric Adams. But all of that coverage wound up getting minimized when they found out that Azasia Johnson was biracial. Once they found out Azasia Johnson was biracial, they wound up not covering the story the same way. And instead of people being outraged about this violence impacting one of New York's most prominent neighborhoods, people started covering it as just another black on black crime. So there's a disturbing element here as related to race and how people saw this crime in black and white. When they saw that the victim was a black biracial black woman, they didn't care. But when it was in Midtown Manhattan and they thought it was one of these white women who was shot, basically there was a media uproar and a media circus. But that's really, again, disturbing when you really think about it as related to this case, and it shows how little value a black woman's life has as related to all of the issues of domestic violence. Now, this whole situation, again, is a textbook case of what happens when a beta male gets involved with a woman, because in a lot of cases when you're dealing with beta males, they don't see women as people, they see them as objects in their rose-colored world. And when those objects wind up not going out here and being able to function in their rose-colored fantasies, they believe they are justified in taking the life of an individual. And that's what happened here with this Isaac Agro. He had no problem with this girl when she was the light-skinned, pretty girl, and he had no problem getting with the pretty girl and having her as an attachment on his arm. But he didn't want to deal with the reality of having this woman as his baby's mother. He didn't want a baby. He wanted to have his fantasy, and when his fantasy got shattered, he believed he had the right to destroy this woman's life. And this is par for the course, sadly, with a lot of these beta males, and it all has to do with the way these beta males are raised. Now, a lot of people like your Eric Adams want to make this about gun violence, but this is not about gun violence. No, the big problem we have here in America is the fact that we have 2 to 3 generations of these beta males out here, and these beta males are extremely dangerous due to the dysfunctional way they have been raised in this country. The way we have been raising boys to become men create these beta males, and because these beta males live in rose-colored realities cannot deal with the real world and real consequences, this is what makes these males dangerous, because this is what motivates them to go out here and participate in violence. The main reason why these kinds of males go out here and participate in this kind of violence is due to the way they have been raised, primarily in environments like single mother households, households with divorced parents, or households with beta male fathers. Because these men do not live in a world where they know how to think critically, conflict resolve, or problem solve, they go out here and act on impulse, and when they act on impulse, they never really think about the consequences of their actions. No, all they want to do is sate their feelings, and what this guy wanted to do was he wanted to sate his feelings because he felt like this woman was not fitting into his reality where he could go out here and have the fly girlfriend. And so since he couldn't have the fly girlfriend and had no interest in becoming a father, he wanted to go out here and end her life so that he could make her pay for doing something wrong, like getting pregnant. That's how many of these beta males think out here. They believe that basic human behaviors that happen are wrong, and that everybody has to fit into their world. And that's what your Isaac Agro was angry about, to go out here and murder his baby mama. Now, your Isaac Agro, because he was so caught up in his feelings about his baby mama having the audacity to go out here and have a child, he didn't really think about his actions, and he didn't care to think about his actions, because it was all about getting even with his baby mama for giving him a baby, giving him a case, and messing up his life. Now, he wanted to go out here and get revenge on her, but the justice system is going to make him pay for these alleged egregious crimes, because your Isaac Agro is going to go from being a baby daddy to being somebody's bitch in the penitentiary. And what's going to happen to him now that he's been known for killing his baby mama is he's going to be turned out by Bubba and Tiny inside of the penitentiary. And as they turn him out inside of the penitentiary, they're going to be trading this 22-year-old dude for your Little Debbie snack cakes, your ramen noodles, your cans of Dr. Pepper, your Reese's peanut butter cups, your packs of Oreo cookies. They're going to be trading him for some commissary, and they're going to be beating him down because he went out here and killed his baby mama for absolutely no other reason than because she didn't fit into his smooth world. And as his world gets rougher inside the penitentiary, he's going to realize that he made a major mistake in attacking his baby mama, because his baby mama wasn't the one who created these problems. No, he was the one who created his problems, because he didn't want to take responsibility for his actions. When it comes down to a lot of these beta males, whenever they get a woman, a lot of times these guys, they do not know how to navigate through their emotions. They act impulsively, and they're looking to elevate their social status, but they're not looking to take man-sized responsibility as related to relationships. They oftentimes, again, live in that rose-colored reality, thinking the woman is going to make his life better and elevate his social status. But the whole thing is, he winds up messing up his own life and making things worse for himself, because he's still got boyhood ideas about dating and relationships, and he's not thinking about relationships from a man perspective. And again, that is all due to the dysfunctional way these males are raised, because these males are not raised by other men to get guidance from other men. They don't know how to navigate the world as men. And this is, again, another thing that I believe motivated this tragic murder on New York's Upper East Side, was you had a male who was not ready for manhood, and because he wasn't ready for manhood, he went out here and took the life of his baby's mother. And sadly, because he wasn't ready for life as a man, a child is going to be deprived of both their mother and their father. This 3-month-old is the one who is going to suffer the most because of the dysfunctional way this male was raised. And this man in crisis has created a situation where his daughter will wind up a girl in crisis, and he is actually just created generational dysfunction. Now, this is one of the reasons why I believe we need to really start investing in our men, teaching them male life skills, teaching them male survival skills, because if we don't go out here and teach young men like this 22-year-old guy the life skills they need to survive, they're going to go out here and participate in extreme acts of violence that wind up doing damage to other people's lives. Now, again, you have your politicians like Cream of Wheat man Eric Adams saying that this is a gun problem. No, this is not a gun problem. This is a family problem, and it is a family problem because we did not raise our boys to become men. over the last 60 years. And the more we keep trying to deflect the guns, we don't see how it's all about the way we raise boys to become men in this country. The way we raise boys to become men in this country, this kinder, gentler, softer male, this male is not equipped to navigate the world. This male doesn't know what he needs. And over the last couple of years, this male has gone from a ticking time bomb to a landmine, and these landmines are doing extreme damage everywhere. And America's whole reaction is to react to the guns, but we have to stop reacting to the guns and start working on investing in these boys so that they can become strong men instead of becoming men in crisis. We have to acknowledge that there is a man crisis in this country, and the way we have been raising these boys to become men is not working, because instead of us having 100 million men ready to build America, we have 100 million beta males out here, and they're looking to destroy the world around them because they don't know how to function in the world. The main reason, again, why this Isaac Agro participated in this violence was because he did not know how to function as a man in the real world. He did not know how to navigate the real world. And that's all due to the dysfunctional way he has been raised, primarily, I believe, in a female-headed household, because guys are raised in female-headed households, they don't know how to be a head of household. They don't know how to be a leader. They don't know how to be an authority figure. No, they are stuck in a state of arrested development, leaving them in adolescence, and they have adolescent views of women, adolescent views of life, and they're not prepared and equipped to take on the leadership role of a man. And sadly, we keep talking about guns, but if you don't raise a boy to become a man, you don't have a functional man to be able to navigate the world. Everybody's thinking it's the guns that are the problem. No, it is the way we raise boys to become men, because a beta male does not know how to navigate the world, and when the world gets hard, he goes out here and picks up a weapon on impulse, looking to do harm to people in order to try to either destroy the world around him and destroy the people around him who have made his world rough. And the whole thing is, this boy was never told that life is going to be rough, life is going to be hard, and you have to build a discipline and resolve to navigate the world. This is something the beta male has never been taught, and 100 million boys have not been taught in our every participation trophy society. We have not taught and prepared our boys to become men, and yet we talk about the guns are the problem. No, we need to start raising boys better, and we need to start teaching our boys and men the male life skills they're going to need to survive in the world, because we are going to sadly see an increase in frequency in this violence, because many of these politicians, they would rather deflect the gun violence instead of acknowledging the man crisis that has been going on in this country for the last couple of decades. And it's getting worse because many politicians, like the cream of wheat man, would rather stick his head in the sand and sit there and talk about guns instead of trying to invest in helping these men so that they won't go out here and participate in the violence that makes America's man crisis so horrible. Now, if you want to learn more about what motivates a beta male like this to participate in violent behavior like this, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Man Crisis on Smashwords, the iBook store, and Google Play. And if you want to see me do more men's issues videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available in paperback and Kindle, Stop Simping in Cyberspace. Learn how to avoid predatory females like Instagram models and e-girls in their virtual con games with Stop Simping in Cyberspace. Get your copy of Stop Simping in Cyberspace in paperback and Kindle today.